Hi guys, welcome back to Football Intels. My name is Victor and today I'll be talking about the sensational Eddie Howe. If you're watching this video for the first time, click the subscribe button and I'll see you after the short break. Welcome back. So everywhere is buzzing and buzzing and buzzing about this young coach. At 45, he has turned around the fortunes of Newcastle United. And I'm talking about no other person than Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe, who is a British guy who started his football playing career in England. Then from different clubs, he moved to AFC Bournemouth. And at 29, he was already a coach, a player, and a coach at the same time. Then what happened after a year? He had some serious injuries that made him to stop playing this game football that we love. But then he got the opportunity to become the youth coach of Bournemouth. And from then on, he got into the full managerial position after the then coach left. And I'm talking about in 2009. He then continued until a while he got some opportunity to go coach with Burnley, and then he moved to Burnley. But he did not stay so long with Burnley, and he left Burnley for reasons best known to him. Well, he called it personal reasons. Then he moved to AFC Bournemouth once more. But this time around, he stayed for 8 good years. And he moved the club from the 4th tier of the league down to the Premier League. And guess what? If you are following the club like Bolton back in those days, if you remember when Bolton had the chance to go back or to come back to the Premier League, it was Eddie Howe's side and AFC Bournemouth. They were the team that knocked them out from the playoffs. And since then, Bolton has not found his way back to the championship. That was more like Bolton going back to his Tatars. But then, Eddie Howe came into the Premier League with his boys, the AFC Bournemouth boys, to the Premier League. And ever since then, they stayed for 5 good times. 5 good times in the league until relegation cut them short. And that was just time for him. He had to get some rest. And he resigned from coaching AFC Bournemouth. But there's one unique thing about him. And I think that should be one thing about people that work so hard. You need some time out once in a while. And that happens to him. He took a sabbatical for about a year. And then what happened? Newcastle came knocking. But then, when Newcastle came knocking for Eddie, you and I think we're more like doubtful. Why Eddie Howe? These Saudi guys have the money to get the best coaches. But then, Newcastle as a club went all out for Eddie Howe. One might also say maybe because he's British, and that was why they took him in. Maybe same thing that happened with Chelsea when the new owners came and they had to go with an English coach. But that aside, so we were all doubtful. So doubtful and doubtful, deeply doubtful that Eddie Howe was not really going to take this club way up. But then, November 2021, Newcastle had to bring him in. And the report then was like, they just needed him to stabilize the club, and much later they can find a better replacement. But then, Eddie Howe went ahead to help Newcastle to qualify for the Champions League. Come on! It was then that the club had no choice than to say, man, this is the man. And he has gone ahead to prove the doubting Thomas like me that man, that he is a great coach. He is a prolific coach, a gaffer. The big deal. Because the style of play of Newcastle is what is being studied right now. And when asked, he was like, this is the way he wanted AFC Bournemouth to play aggressive football, all-out football. And that's way he has rejuvenated the things happening in Newcastle. And let me also tell you, some players out there have also been rejuvenated. They have also rediscovered themselves all because of this man. Mind you, if you're also talking about money that, okay, Newcastle gave him a fat check. Mind you, Newcastle spent £30 million less of what Ten Hag spent last season. But then, you cannot compare the two clubs. Yes, on paper, Manchester United qualified for the Champions League, having more points than Newcastle. But if you see the game that Newcastle played down to this moment, you saw what happened during the Arsenal game. Persons like Joe Linton is a new discovery. Leisure as a defender, new discovery. And mind you, he was a defender back in the days in Bournemouth when he was a player. I mean, Eddie, he was a defender back then. And he has shown it in his game. Having a very nice defense and at the same time, a proper attack. They all go up there to play their game. Look at Joe Linton. Look at Almiron. These are guys that were more like average players back then. But then, these guys has rejuvenated them. And that is the big deal about Eddie Howe. So at this point, what are my predictions right now for Eddie? Well, it's looking all gloomy. But then, I just have to make this prediction. Would they be back to the Champions League? The answer might be no from me, because we have Liverpool up in the stands. We have Tottenham, and these two guys were not there last season, but they are showing that they are not a club to joke around with. Yes, Newcastle they are doing their biddings, and come to think of it, the winning rate of Newcastle is so off the blues. 56.2% winning rate as it stands right now. And guess what? Eddie Howe's winning rate as a manager is 42%. So shocking. Okay? But then, if you ask me, I think, and I strongly think, the Champions League, coming back to the Champions League might be too tough for them, because right now they are still in the Champions League, okay? And the question is, will they be able to qualify for the next round? If they qualify for the next round, that might also be so challenging for them, because they are also in other cups. It might also be so challenging for them. And you ask, do they really have the bench to push through? My answer might be no. It's no right now, okay? But in all, Newcastle is seen as a club that will still maintain the Europe cadre. But the question now is, will they be the Champions League, Europa League, or the Conference League? For sure, they will be there in Europe. My own 2 cents. What are your 2 cents? What are your predictions? Put them down on the comment section. And if you've watched to this part of the video, come on, click that subscribe button, and I'll be waiting for you in the next video.